Hello everyone and welcome to GoldenNova's First Reacts, where I react first to all the things you want to see reacted to first, as long as I'm the first person you come to react to things first. The OCG just did a live stream for Burst Protocol. They do this about once every core set to show off particular themes that they're really excited to show off, and this time it included some branded cards. Or technically branded storyline cards. Springans are the subject of the latest wave of support, and honestly, I couldn't be happier. I think it is arguably the most underserved of all the branded lore storyline cards, and so seeing another wave of support is long overdue for these. I'm a super fan. We've also got some, B.E.S cards, Magnet Warriors, and another fourth thing that I don't particularly remember, but we're going to cover them right now. But we're going to start with our favorite little soot sprite companions, the Springans. Let's take a look at Tri-Brigade Springans kit. So we've got double archetypal duty going on here. Oh no, this is terrible. My screen isn't showing off the full photo of Kitt with a Gatling cannon. Let's grab this really quickly. We need the full energy on this one. Kitt with a Gatling cannon attached to a tank that's drilled into the ground that she's shooting. This is incredible. This is beautiful. Okay, let's get back to this really quickly. Let's scoot right over there. That should show everything. Okay, so Tri-Brigade Springans kit, level 4 Light Beast monster. Interesting. 1700 attack, 1000 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First effect, if you control a Tri-Brigade or a Springans monster other than a copy of this card, you can special summon this card. Neat. Second, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one of these monsters from your graveyard except a copy of this card. A Tri-Brigade, a Springans, or a Fallen of Albaz, or a monster that mentions it. Okay. So it doesn't reload onto things, but I think the reload effect of the Springans is only for the Fire Machine ones. For those of you who don't know, first off, I've got a video about it. You should probably watch Springans Explained, but for those of you who need the cliff notes of it, basically all the Fire Machine ones, which are the original ones, can attach themselves to a Springans Xyz monster from the hand, field, or graveyard as a continuous effect. So you have a lot of reusability off of those. It's double helpful for X-Blowerer, who can temporarily, or is it, I think both of them can do it? They temporarily banish themselves, so that means that their Xyz materials fall off, but when they come back, you can just reattach them with the effect of your Springans monster, so you can keep using them over and over again, even though they keep going up and down out of the waves of the sand. So, very fun stuff. Now, the kit version here does not do that, but they have an effect when sent to graveyard, including if attached to Xyz material, so it summons for free if you have any of the aforementioned monsters, and it's also just pretty good Tri-Brigade support, I would say. It doesn't care where it's sent from the graveyard, and there are plenty of ways to just get Tri-Brigade monsters from your deck into the graveyard in that set, so this is great for both themes. And don't think I didn't see this. I'm pretty sure this means that you can revive the fusions too, because the fusion materials are mentioned in the card, so solid stuff here. And then we have, it looks like just one other card, Gung Ho Springans, another rank 4, which is good. Springans, not brothers, it's a Merrymaker is a pretty good rank 4, but I'm glad to see that we have another one that we can utilize, especially with that stat line. 2516 is not terrible, and just look at them, they're hitting the Ginyu Force post, something fierce. I like the Rocky in the background, a little, yeah, showing off those, they're literally showing off the guns. Alright, so they are a rank 4 Fire Machine, requires 2 or more level 4 Springans monsters. That makes sense. You can only use one of the first and second effect of this card's name per turn, and only once per turn, so these are unfortunately conflicting effects. You can't use both, but maybe that won't matter. First effect, if this card is Xyz, summoned, or sent to the graveyard, you can special summon a Springans Captain Sargus from your deck or graveyard. That's honestly fantastic. Second, you can attach 2 materials from this card to either add to your hand or special summon one of these monsters. But it's a different list of them. You can do Springans, Therians, and a Fallen of Albaz, or a monster that mentions it. Okay, so being able to add the Therians is pretty cool because all of the Springans are themselves machines, which means they combo very well with Regulus, the Therian king. He's a negate, 2800 base attack power, another 700 if you put another Therian under it. Pretty good stuff. Also being able to search more Springans stuff, not bad. And then the ability to search Fawn of Albaz stuff is pretty cool, but because this is locked specifically to Springans, we can only make this with Springans cards, it's not gonna be easy to get this summoned out in like a more generalized branded deck. So I don't think there will be cards that this functions with, notably because Tri-Brigade Springans kit mentions Fallen of Albaz as part of the list of things that it can grab. You can search her with Gung-Ho Springans or any other number of random Springans cards that mention Albaz, which many of them do. But the fact that this gets Captain Sargus is fantastic, because Sargus is kind of like the odd duck out of the Therians. Most of them are level 4, with, like, I think the exception of Branga, I think, is a higher leveled one. And then you have our good Captain, who's actually really good. If I remember correctly, he has a quick effect where you can detach a material from an Excuse monster you control to pop a card. And then it also gives a boost to things that it's attached to. But getting it onto the field was one of the better ways you could utilize it, because it was a piece of interaction. It was spot removal. And I'm going to double check that really quick. Springans, Captain Sargus. But there was really no good way to get it onto the field that wasn't already being used up by another method to get other level 4 material on the board to make your Springans stuff. So let's go ahead and put them right there. Let's make sure that we're sending on screen here on the OBS. Okay, so you can kind of see it right there. So during your opponent's turn quick effect, you can detach a material from an Excuse monster you control, then target a face-up card on the field and destroy it. So that is like the cool thing you can do with Sargas. It has the attach effect up here that all the original Springans do. And then a Springans Excuse monster that has this card's material gains 500 attack. That's actually not super good. A 500 point boost isn't going to make either of the original Excuse monsters fantastic. That being said, if you do want a 3000 attack monster, you can summon it. You can summon Sargus with Gung-Ho Springans and then just immediately attach it to them to give you a 3000 point monster. So there is some utility here. Hopefully this is not the end of the Springan support that we see out of this set. I would love to see a much broader base of cards for them. Like I said beforehand, I think that they were one of the archetypes that was left behind when we were exploring the branded world, and I would definitely love to see more of them, even if they don't add much to the story at large. They're just a bunch of goofballs, and I can very much appreciate a bunch of goofy little gremlins. So all in all, kind of like a solid B+, maybe an A on all this new support. Alright, next up we're taking a quick detour over to Revolver's cards with Topologic Blaster Dragon. What kind of weird shape is this thing got going on? I can't tell off the top of my head. Perhaps all of you have done your research and know what strange non-Euclidean shape that Blaster Dragon has taken on, but I'm getting Starving Venom vibes off this one. Okay, so it's a Link 5 Dark Cyberus Link monster, has 3500 attack. Its arrows are top, left, top, right, and then the 2 bottom right ones. You cannot special summon or set monsters to an extra monster zone this card points to. Once again, makes sense. I'm sure it has some kind of wacky when summoned to this point effect, as all the Topologic monsters do. And second, I am only just now realizing that we had the X-Saber support, and they once again forgot to give them the Link 4 that has all the corners. Can't have anything around here. Anyway, if any number of monsters are special summoned to a zone a Link monster points to while this card is in the extra monster zone, apply one of these effects. Also, you cannot apply the same effect of Topologic Blaster Dragon again for the rest of this turn. So 3 mandatory effects here. First, shuffle all monsters on the field into the deck except this card. 2, shuffle all spell and trap cards on the field into the deck. And 3, look at your opponent's extra deck and banish 1 card from it. Interesting to note here, this is not the usual restriction here. I kind of blew past it. You cannot summon or set monsters to an extra monster zone this card points to. But I don't know why that would matter, because these effects only trigger while this card is in the extra monster zone. I think they're trying to prevent V-linking with this, which once again, Why do you care? Why do you just let people V-Link? You did this whole big deal of making the U-Link a whole thing, and you know that came up once, maybe twice, and that was only a deck that people hated, and now you have the chance to streamline the method as you power creep basically everything else, but this time it's like, nope, we will not have the V-Link, but it's fine. In actuality, the whole denying your opponent the extra monster zone is either terribly effective because the deck requires it to function vis-a-vis using link monsters and or pendulums, or B, it does nothing because they don't care about that mechanic, and so they just have one less zone to play with. So I guess it's good overall that they're not letting people do it, but at the same time, like, you put the mechanic in the game. I'm gonna stop this rant right now. This card is funny. So you have a Dark Hole and a Heavy Storm for shuffling cards back into the deck, which is humongous removal. It lets you shred your opponent's extra deck. Like, you actually look at it and take a card out of it, which is crazy. So even though all of these are mandatory, your opponent could look at this and go, okay, cool, so I'm just going to play this enough times with cards that I don't like, but you're the one in control of what's activated. So basically, if they want to get rid of these things, they're going to have to do one summon to at least get rid of the look at the extra deck and banish a card function of it. I think it's fine. I think it might be a bit too unwieldy to see overall play, but it is pretty generic, and if you're looking to make an end board, it's... well, I mean, there are better options. This doesn't actually deny your opponent any of their own options, and your opponent can, in a sense, still play around this, even if they're willing to give up their extra deck a little bit to do it. This is fine. This is just a fine monster. It might be responsible for some outrageous wins at some point, but I don't think consistently this is going to do a lot. So, just an interesting card. Okay, B.E.S, the greatest cards once again. They are coming back in great fashion. Let's take a look and see what we're adding here. First up, we're getting a new Vic Viper Type L. More like taking the L. Folks, this is the comedy that you come here for the first reveals for. So, level 4, 1200 attack, 800 defense. They kind of shot themselves in the foot with a lot of their a lot of the stat lines that these things support. So you're never going to see any of these level 4 monsters be higher than 12800. That being said, though, that just means that the effects have to be really good to make up for it if they want them to be good. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First effect, at the start of your battle phase, you can activate one of these effects. Special summon any machine monster from your hand, or send a level 4 or lower light machine monster from your deck to the graveyard. Okay, so it's a summon from hand or a foolish burial. So there's always something this thing can do. It's just better if you have better cards. This is better if you have the cards in hand that you can utilize with it. This can get your B.E.S's out of your hand, or you can get your other support fighters out, and that's pretty poggers. Second, if this card is destroyed, you can target a light machine monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And if its original attack is 1200 or less, it gains 1200. Okay, so you can go to battle phase, have Vic Viper L send one of your tiny Gradiuses to the graveyard, crash type L to take the L, and then get back one of those monsters that you foolished, and then it comes back as up to a 2400 attack monster, which synergizes with a lot of their effects that trigger when they destroy a monster in battle, because now they actually have a stat line that lets them destroy monsters in battle. It's kind of rules. This honestly kind of rules. Multiple copies of this aren't going to be very helpful, because it's a hard once per turn on it. So if you get multiple type L's, you can't like foolish multiple times. But I think given how powerful the effect is, I think that's just fine. Oh, this is also interesting to note here. You can target one light machine monster in your graveyard. It does not say it ignores itself. You can crash this and bring it back even if you don't foolish them to the graveyard, and it comes back as a 2400. Huh. Okay. Okay. I dig it. Next is B.E.S. Dillinger Core. Level 10 light machine, 1900 attack, 3000 defense. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. What are we looking at here? They've got some wings on this. Look at the wingspan on that one. They're shooting. They're shooting out here. There we go. Let's move there. That's too far over there. Okay. You can only use the first and second effect of this card's name each once per turn. First, you can reveal one other B.E.S. monster in your hand. Special summon this card from your hand, then place 3 counters on it. Second effect, during the main phase, as a quick effect, you can remove 1 counter from this card, then activate one of these effects. Add a Boss Rush or a Spell Trap card that mentions it from your deck to your hand, so I think that basically just means Boss Rush or Zelos, unless we had another piece of support that does that. Or special summon a level 9 or lower B.E.S. monster from your graveyard. So, big ups, we have dropped the downside of not having any counters, though you can only activate any of this card's effects if it has counters on it, or rather, the second function of this card. So you want to summon it with its own effect and not any other means. Otherwise, it's just a big vanilla creature, which, you know, maybe you just want a level 10 light machine for something. Notably, it is a quick effect. Now, the fact that it summons level 9 or lower B.E.S. monsters from your graveyard, I don't have a complete grasp of the entire theme, but generally they need to be summoned with their own effect, right? To get count, like, they have to be summoned in a particular way, so when other things try to summon them, it's not super good, because then they're not going to have the counters they need to survive. Zelos might help with this. I think we got to go back to the Yu-Gi-Oh card database and plug this in and be ready to go over this in just a bit to see how impactful these cards are. Maybe Zelos has done something to, or did something rather, to help with their survivability. Okay, we've got that pulled up for later. This card is interesting so far. It's a free summon. Not necessarily good on the attack front, but it's got a great butt. And it gets you your other B.E.S. related cards. It gets you support cards out of your deck and gets out your big battling bunguses out of your graveyard. And if nothing else, they're still just bodies that you can utilize. Okay, next is Super B.E.S. Metal Slave. What is going on here? Oh, wow. Look at that thing. It's got 5 different lines. 5 different colored power cools for you to shoot. Look at the variety. Wow. Alrighty. But what does it do? A level 11 Dark Machine with 3100 attack and defense. So this is a chomper. You can only use the first effect of this card's name once per turn. First, you can send up to 5 level 10 or lower B.E.S. monsters with different names from your hand and or deck to the graveyard. Just special summon this card from your hand, then place counters on it equal to the number of cards sent to the graveyard to activate this effect. Okay, so we're filling our graveyard up with, just by going to summon this, and getting 5 counters on it, presumably. Because it sends up to that many, so you only need at least 1 just to get this out there. So it's very easy to summon. Second effect, once per chain as a quick effect, you can remove 1 counter from this card, then target 2 face-up cards on the field, including a B.E.S. monster you control and destroy them. Okay, so, okay. I was about to lose my mind there for a second. Once per chain, pop 2 cards? No. We have to pop one of our own cards to do it. Though granted, it's destroy them, not destroy both. So if your B.E.S. monsters have protection from destruction, you can still pop their cards. So that's it. So up to 5 times you can do that, huh? Okay. Up to 5. You just get to pop any card. Pop 2 target 2 face-up cards on the field. Okay. Intriguing. And it's got just a huge body on it too. That's kind of nutty, actually. That's pretty good. All right. Boss on parade. Ta-da. Look at those bosses on parade. Look at that big, that's Mark, what was that? Big Corn Mark II? Look at those little big cores. They're corn around here. Okay, it's a continuous spell card. You can only activate 1 card at this card's name per turn. When this card is activated, add a B.E.S. monster from your deck to your hand. Love to see it. Second, once per turn you can destroy one monster in your hand or your field, and if you do, special summon a light machine monster with 1200 attack and 1000 or less defense from your deck to either field. And 3, you can banish this card from your graveyard to place a boss rush from your deck or graveyard face up on your field, folks. It's searchable with what was it, Dillinger Core? Yeah, Dillinger Core can grab this. Heck yeah. Okay. Let's double check our B.E.S's really quickly. So Big Core can only be summoned if it was normal summon, so we're not gonna get that back, but Big Core sucks. Mark II, okay, so our revival effect off of Dillinger is really good with Mark II because it only gains counters when special summoned. It doesn't have any protection when it comes to using its tokens, though. Mark III, you know what, I should be bringing this up on screen. We can look at it together. I don't just have to dictate it to you. We can all have a fun little time reading the cards together. So there. Okay, so Mark II, just went over Mark III. If your opponent controls a monster, you control no monsters, you can special card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summoned, you place 3 counters on it. So this also gets counters on it if we bring it back. Can be destroyed by battle. Okay, so this one also is not one that we can just save using its counters. B.E.S. Blaster Cannon Core. If your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal special summon, put 3 counters on it. Also can't protect itself. Covered Core. If it's normal summon, get counters on it, so we don't care about that. Crystal Core. When this card is normal or special summon, normal summon, put 3 counters on it, so that's also difficult to utilize. This one is also, if it's a normal summoned, Tetron. It gets counters on it. Not the best. We got to check out Boss Rush really quickly. Okay, so B.E.F. Zelos, that's the big field spell. When this card is activated, add Boss Rush from your deck to your hand. All B.E.S. monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense. Your opponent can't target them with card effects, and they can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. But your own, however, they do not gain protection from. Oh, that's rough. Once per turn, you can special summon 1 B.E.S. monster from your hand, and if a B.E.S. monster is normal or special summoned to your field, place a counter on it. Okay, so that at least gets counters on the things that we bring up from the graveyard that don't normally get it. So that's something. Okay. And then, of course, we should check Boss Rush itself just so that we're on the same page here. You cannot normal summon or set from your hand during the end phase of the turn that a B.E.S. monster or a Big Core is destroyed and sent to the graveyard. You can special summon a B.E.S. or Big Core from your deck. So it ensures that when they get exploded, you get a new one. This kind of makes up for popping our own monster because then we just get to have a free one. So maybe that is fine. I'm sure there's other ways to keep our monsters protected so that we don't have to pay any of the drawbacks from Metal Slave's DPE style effect. And then there's also the glut of light machine monsters with 1200 attack and 1000 or less defense. Can we do just like a quick little search here? Light machine. Is there a level restriction on here? There is not. It's 1200 attack specifically. Yeah, so higher than 1000. No, wait. Higher than 0, lower than 1000. Here's a quick look. So there's 6 total targets right now, and they are unsurprisingly the Gradius monsters. So there's base Gradius, Delta Tri. What was it that it did with him again? Destroy a monster on your hand or field, special summon this monster from your deck to either field. Very interesting. So both of these have effects when they destroy monsters by battle, and I don't want to go into the specifics of it, but they get bonuses when doing that. Same with Lord British. T301. When an attack is declared involving your face-up monster and an opponent's monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. Other light machines gain 1200 attack. That's huge. And then Vic Viper, this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle. So we kind of want to summon all these to our field, but their stats are low enough that we could summon these to our opponent's field in defense position just to give us something to run over. Also, Type L triggers its effect when it's destroyed. So we could give our opponent type L, run over it with our effect, and then get back type L even stronger than before. So there's some cool things we can do with it. I also noticed that there are like these cards will be released later this month in Duel Links as a structure deck and Master Duels part of a new pack. Okay, well, cool for them. Interesting. I think B.E.S is a lost cause when it comes to competitive power. That being said, these seem really fun. I'm looking forward to seeing the Brewers coming up with a new spaceships list, because these are always fun to see play out. These are really cool, so big ups to them. Kind of a B-, C+. Apply yourself a bit more, but I'm glad that you're having fun with it. Our last thing to talk about are the Magnet Warriors. We saw Omega Plus, I think it was, a little while ago, but now we're seeing some more Burst Protocol cards for Magnet Warriors. Oh, but wait, no, this is Magnetic Warrior, but do we have other Magnet Warrior? Okay, so they are still Magnet Warriors. Okay, so a vast increase in that pool's available cards. Now, granted, this is not Yugi's Magnet Warriors. We're not talking about Alpha, Beta, Gamma. We're talking about Bastion's Magnet Warriors from GX that didn't get a lot of attention, but now are center stage. I think some of the Magnet Warriors we talked about previously are going to be in a side set, but these are going to be here for us right now in Burst Protocol. Yeah, B Pro. So let's take a look and see what these are here to do, starting with Magnetic Warrior, Magnet Tellurian the Magna Warrior. There we go, we got it. Level 8 Earth Rock Special Summon Effect monster, one of them Nomi creatures, 2500 attack and defense, cannot be normal summoned or set, and must be special summoned from your graveyard specifically by banishing a Magnet Warrior. Please tell me that's... Oh, man, my brain is saying Sigma, but is it Epsilon? I gotta figure out how to say it first before we keep going. It is Sigma. Okay, my first instinct was correct. I should have listened to it. Magnet Warrior Sigma Plus and Magnet Warrior Sigma Minus from your hand, face-up field, and/or graveyard. So once per turn, first effect, when your opponent activates a card or effect as a quick effect, you can target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it, or if it was an Earth monster at activation, you can take control of it instead. That's so funny. So it doesn't negate, but it does, like, if they activate anything, pop it, or it's a permanent brain control. Second effect, during your opponent's turn as a quick effect, you contribute this card to special summon 2 of your banished Magnet Warrior Sigma monsters. Okay. So we banish our plus and minus to bring this out, pop a card, or steal something, and then during our opponent's turn, if this gets threatened, we put it into the graveyard to get out our Sigmas. Hopefully they have some kind of on-summon effect, and then, if they survive, we can banish them again to bring back Tellurian from the graveyard. Okay, I'm seeing the vision here. Okay, Magnet Warrior Sigma Plus, level 4 Earth Rock monster. You can only use the third effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, all opponent's monsters must attack if able while you control an Earth monster. Which it is. Maybe it means another Earth monster? Because otherwise it just is like, you know, they have to attack. Second, oh, I'm going to click you. Second, you choose the attack targets of your opponent's attacks while they control an Earth monster. There we go. See, now that's something. Third effect, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster in your graveyard, accept a copy of this card, and add it to your hand or special summon it. Okay, so we have a bit of a floating effect here, and it's just if it's sent to the graveyard in any way. Oh, that's cute. So it's compelled attack on a monster, and it's Patrician of Darkness if they have an Earth monster, which is a pretty common attribute out there, though not necessarily something you can always count on. Maybe we'll have an effect that forces our opponent to have an Earth monster. Okay, second, we have Magnet Warrior Sigma Minus, level 4 Earth Rock, 1500 attack, 1800 defense. You can reveal this card in your hand to fusion summon a fusion monster from your extra deck using rock monsters from your hand and or field, including this card in your hand. So it's a polymerization, and it can make anything as long as you're only using rock monsters. Second effect, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can send a level 8 Magna Warrior monster from your deck to the graveyard. Perfect setup for Toulouse. The third effect, once per turn, when an attack is declared between 2 Earth monsters, you can negate that attack. So the Magnets are pushing off of each other. Very funny. So we still don't have a way to force our opponent to have Earth monsters, but this does mean that if we have like the compelled attack function of Sigma Plus going on, even if they are like, well, you can't compel me to attack within a particular order because I have my monster's too big for you, so I'm going to just run over it. Sigma Minus is like, well, that one's the only one that's too big, so we'll just negate that attack, and then you'll have to keep attacking with the other things. That's funny, though I don't necessarily... The interesting thing is that it has an on-summon effect, which sets up your Toulouse, which you really, really want to do, but it also has a fusion effect that only works well in the hand. So those two things aren't necessarily at odds with each other, but while that doesn't mean you can't do both of them, that just means it has a couple of options, so that's pretty neat. Alright, Fusion Monster, Conduction Knight Plasma Magnum. Oof, what a name. Level 7 Earth Rock requires any 2 Earth Rock monsters, and its attack is 2300 and its defense is 2800. You can only use the first and third effect of this card's name each once per turn. First effect, if this card is fusion summoned, you can add a Magnet, Normal, Quick Play, or Field spell from your deck to your hand. Searcher. Second effect, all monsters on the field become Earth. We did it! We did it! Third, you can send one level 8 Magna Warrior monster from your deck to the graveyard. Immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster. Okay, so that just solves the issue that we just talked about here. Normal summoning this just foolishes from deck to graveyard, but if you use this fusion effect in hand, this gets it into the graveyard for Toulouse, and then the fusion monster can just put Toulouse in your graveyard anyway, and it gets you an additional normal summon. That's pretty spiffy. Magnet, normal spell, normal quick play or field spell, Yu-Gi-Oh card. I gotta stop closing out of these windows. I gotta just put them back out of the side and realize we're gonna come back to them later. Magnet, come on, Magnet spells. Okay, so we don't use Electromagnetic Shield, that's a continuous spell card. Magnetic Circle level 2 is for level 2 lower machine monsters, which we are not. Which leaves us with, there's also Ring of Magnetism, but that's not going to work. We do have these 3 cards though: Magnet Induction, Magnet Reverse, and Magnetic Field. Magnetic Reverse has been a funny option for machine and rock decks to summon any of your extra deck monsters from the graveyard, which is pretty cool. Magnetic Field, if you control a level 4 or lower Earth Rock monster, you can target a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior in your graveyard and special summon it. That's pretty cool. Once per turn at the end of the damage step, when an Earth Rock monster you control battle an opponent's monster, but that monster is not destroyed by battle, you can return that opponent's monster to the hand. A little less good. Normally you just want to have the monsters that deal with punching your opponent, but it's good to have an option. And then Magnet Induction, if you control a Magnet Warrior whose original level is 4 or lower, special summon a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior from your deck with a different name than the cards you control. And for the rest of the turn after this card resolves, Magnet Warrior and Magna Warrior monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. So it is a continuous effect that does not limit your options, but keeps your monsters safe. Basically, all the ones who want to play are level 4 or lower. It allows us to pick level 4 or lower because it gets our Electromagnet Warriors, which themselves tag out into other ones, which means that we have more access to our new Magnet Warriors. Wild stuff. I love this. In a pure deck, this should be easy as pie to fusion summon. Yeah, no, fantastic stuff. And it plays into the whole theme that we're working on right now. And we have a whole new card that we get to search out with the Fusion Monsters effect, Magnet Bonding. Quick play spell card. During the main phase, activate one of these effects, but you can only use each effect of this card's name each once per turn. So if you draw 3 of them, you can do all 3 of them. First one, add a Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum +- or a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster from your deck to your hand. So first effect, it's a search card. Second, add a level 8 Magna Warrior monster from your deck to your hand. Okay, kind of feels like we could have folded into this first effect, but this does mean that if we draw the multiple copies, we can still use those 2. Third effect, Fusion summon a rock fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling rock monsters from your hand, field, grave, and or banishment into the deck. That's 3 zones. That's 4 zones that you get to pull from. Here's a rock fusion monster. Okay. Now, granted, there's not a lot of them, and half of them are like, not. Why am I? Fossil monsters, the fossil fusion monsters, and that's not going to function with this as well as we would want it to. And this brings up Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum plus minus. Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum plus minus. Yeah, so this was one of them that was revealed. Was it part of a special pack, or is it part of? Okay, it is part of the special pack. So I was not losing my gourd when I said that. Brightness. No, actually, we can just go on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck instead. Hopefully it's on there. And then we can continue using dark mode instead of going on Wikipedia and having our corneas explode. Boom. Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum plus minus. I hope that that these cards get meta just so that casters have to say this over and over again. So just to go over this one more time. It cannot be normal summoned or set and must first be special summoned by sending 2 Magnet Warrior monsters whose original level is 4 or lower from your hand, deck, and or face up on the field to the graveyard. So it is a double foolish when you bring this out onto the field. Did we just go over some Magnet Warriors that get bonuses when in the graveyard? Literally, if this card is sent to the graveyard, target level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior monster in your graveyard. So you just get to send 2. Sigma Plus is all like, oh, I just went to the graveyard. You other Magnet Warrior get going. So this is a outrageous combo piece. This only summons from the hand though, so it's not infinitely repeatable like Topologic is. You can target one other Earth monster on the field, and this card gains attack equal to half that monster's attack until the end of this turn. This works just fine by itself. It hits one other, or it grabs one other Earth monster, but our deck is entirely made of Earth monsters, so that's something. But if we use our Plasma Fusion monster to make our opponent's monster's Earth attribute, then we can take one of their attacks. Granted, it doesn't steal the attack, it just gains attack equal to half that monster's, but with a base of 2700, that should let you punch over just about anything. And last effect, if this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, add it to your... Maybe this is repeatable. Maybe this is very, very repeatable. Okay. Fun stuff. Oh my goodness. These cards are goofy. So Earth Rock is in a very interesting place as a deck. Adamancipators are still an incredible backbone for a deck like this, and adding more playable rock monsters to tip off of your Adamancipator excavations is always going to be a good thing. I think these play well with them. I think these effects are really good. They play into like rank 4 strategies. None of these provide any restrictions that make it so you can't play them with certain other cards. Tellurian is not an Omni-Negate, but it's something that keeps recycling your monsters. It's a way to keep triggering Sigma Plus's effect, because you're going to keep bringing it back and then sending it away to make Tellurian, which summons another tiny Magna Warrior, which gets all of its effects. Sigma Minus will continuously send Magna Warriors to the graveyard to use for stuff. I think notably, let's go back here. So we need Magna. Let's go over here. Magna Warriors. Yeah, so we can send... Oh, we're just getting everything that just has Magna in it. But Valkyrian and Berserkian should also be in here. Berserkian, the Electro Magna Warrior. Yeah, that kind of... Yeah, there. So it's another Magna Warrior. It's level 8, right? I'm not losing my gourd here. Yeah, level 8. So, with our new Magnet Bonding being able to fusion summon using cards from our grave or banishment, we can just keep sending Berserkian and, well, basically we're making Empyrean Magna, the superconductive battle bot with this, because it needs Valkyria and Berserkian, which are difficult to summon out onto the field. Oh, hold. Must be fusion summon with the above material kind of. Oh, okay, no, we're fine. My bad. I thought it was gonna like blindside me with some. You can only summon this card by using materials on the field that you banish, but no, we're still fusion summoning. Yeah, we're fusion summoning a rock fusion monster. This is certainly a rock fusion monster. And so, as long as we can get those into the graveyard and then fusion shuffle our materials back to make this, what are we looking at here? Once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates spell, trap, or monster effect, negate the activation of that card. So it is an Omni Negate. If this face-up card in its owner's control leaves the field because of an opponent's card effect, you can special summon both Valkyrian and Berserkian. So it's a way to still play them too. And it gets them into rotation if this dies. So you can then play another Magnetic Bonding. Yeah, Magnet Bonding to make another copy of Empyrean Magnum, the Supreme Superconductive Battle Bot, and you can play that alongside your Linear Magnum plus minus. Holy cow, these seem fun. I'm way more excited about this one than our B.E.S cards, because this has stuff that, you know, affects the game, I think. Granted, I don't think that it's strong enough that we have to worry about Magnet Warriors, but it is part of an established grouping of cards that I think are actually rather dangerous. So yeah, chalk me up for interest in the future of Magnet Warriors. Rank 4 stuff, level 8 synchros potentially. Strong on summon effects, great additional options. And that's not even the end of it. You know, there's Adamancipator is one thing, but then you've got frickin' Vernisylphs. They're all Earths. Well, the Adamancipator synchro monsters are not, but yeah, come on, you're not gonna worry about that. Well, maybe kind of. The negate from Dragite is actually pretty relevant, but don't take it from me. Right now I want to hear what all of you have to say. What are your thoughts on all of these fantastic new cards? I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of hype for these Magnet Warriors. The B.E.S cards, they're pretty fine. The Topologic Bomber Link monster, that's fine, whatever. And the Springans cards are a bit of a hoot and a holler. That's my takeaway from all of this, but I want to see how that compares to all of your ideas. Are there any combos that I overlooked that are going to be utilized? Are there any interactions that I missed out on? Any trivia that just kind of went over my head? Let me know down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about these new cards. And as always, until the next time Konami drops some juicy spoilers, I'll see all of you next time. Bye-bye. Today's episode is brought to you by Dragon Shield. Get the sleeves as strong as dragon scales and save 5% on your order by using the coupon code GoldenNova at checkout while helping out the channel. It was also brought to you by my lovely patrons, including this month's illustrious Quasar Commanders, Upstairs Media and the Critic of Innocence, Nebula Navigators, 3rd Dynasty, Ada Basilisk, Adam Zajdel, Ancient Wizard, Andrew Newman, Battle Axe, Charlie Mercury, Chibi Gohan, Christopher Fuss, Clockswork, Comrade, Eric, Frankie, Garland Chaos, Green Knight, Great Big Pillock, Groog, Hairbear, Harry the Ominous Benefactor, Iron Zero, Iskander 711, Carp, Marion James E. Picata, Meme King, Millennia Asta, Muse Clark, Neon Yaminair, Orozco 09096, Panther J, Pat Boos, Rebel King Lucifer, Red Eyes Jackalow, RJ the Jank Monarch, Sonic 21 Blast, That One Dumbass, Thievery Coast and the Wizard Moose, Cosmic Crusaders Ally Vatnia, Animasta, Anthrak, A Random Pup, Blade Runner 1034, Blaze Rider, Blitzwolf, Chaz Ghost, Christopher Fuss, again, Chris B, Cool Trainer Dark, Dr. Entity RIP, Eki Bullock, Edwin Perez, Eva Padilla, Herbal D, Inblink, J.A. Flair, Julian Marquez, Kale the Dragon, Lobomaru02, Manga Pages, Mr. Machina, Natiel Lee Alexander, Nicholas Murphy, Not Al Gore, Obsidian, Pombo, Rhyme Kairos, Rogue Wolf, Shizuka Nijimura, Simic Toadstool, Stephen Huntsman, The Legendary Raven, The Queen of Time, The Gene, Tiger X2476, Zaldreka and Azentha, as well as all the wonderful Starlight Explorers you see on screen now. If you'd like to help me in my journey to cover all of Yu-Gi-Oh's archetypes, get my videos early, be a part of these credits and other awesome perks, it would mean the world to me if you would check out the link to my Patreon in the description or consider joining as a YouTube member.